No, I think the one thing I'm really excited about the upcoming season for a lot of reasons. I think for the first time starting the third year, this is the first time I really feel like I can run the program the way I want to run it. We've been able to practice for 3 hours every practice. We've been able to, if you're not getting stuff done on the first team, you're going to get moved down to the second team because we have more depth than what we've had before. We've brought in 3 transfers that are high-level players that have made our practices much, much more competitive than what they've been in the past. If something's not going well, we're going to stay until we get it right. There's just so many more things this year that we've been able to do that we haven't been able to do the first 2 years that I feel that it's really going to help us turn the corner and take that program to the next level. The fact that practices are much more competitive, there's a lot more depth, there's a lot more competition for spots, and with the 3 transfers raising the level of how we have to play every day in practice, I think that's going to make us a better team. So I'm excited about the future. I'm excited where we're going, and it's kind of fun to be able to go out and, to be quite honest with you, to be able to go coach basketball. And that's been a real joy as we started our practices so far. They work extremely hard. I think we shoot the ball a lot better than we did a year ago. A stat, I had our staff go through and stat last year as we looked at things, and we missed 485 layups in 30 games last year. And I only counted shots that were inside the charge circle in, not outside the paint. That's 485 layups. I'm not talking about off the block, hook shot, moves. I'm talking about layups. If we would have made half of those layups, we would have finished in the top 5 in the country in scoring. And so it's exciting to go to a practice and see, and we scrimmaged the other day against a really good, our scrimmage guys, and I had our transfers play on the other team, and we had 45 points at halftime. And so we're able to put the ball in the basket. We're able to finish layups. It's been a real focus for us. So the thing that excites me is to watch the ball go through the net. For a couple years, I used to always go up to, I went to Jeff last year. I said, hey, don't worry, the backboards are still up, because we'd hit them so hard sometimes they'd start shaking, And this year I think we might actually have to replace some nets because the ball's going in it. And that's what's really exciting, to watch the ball go through the net this year. And our players really worked hard this summer to make that happen. So that's probably the most exciting thing. Yep, and I've told our team that, it's go time. I mean, all the excuses are out the window, and we've been able to put together a recruiting class that we've been able to work for a period of time to get together that class. And, obviously, there's things we had to deal with for a while, but it's been fun to show up every day knowing that we get to coach basketball, and we get to focus on our student and our student athletes. And, I really feel comfortable about where we're at, and, it's officially my program. Somebody told me the other day that they've never seen me so relaxed walking through the office. And when I go home at night, I mean, my wife actually enjoys being around me at night, when I go home, because I'm not grumpy and I'm not, and for a couple years, it was such a process to get to where we would compete and where we would play hard. And this is the happiest I've been in a long, long time. And so, I mean, even though I'm gaining weight, a lot of weight is off my shoulders, that's for sure. And it's been a real joy to show up to practice every day, because we can just focus on practice. And that's been, it's been great. And our team, I really like this team. They're a lot of fun. I don't know how many wins that's going to lead to. I don't know, where we're going to be, but I just know that every day I show up to practice, they're going to compete, they're going to play hard, they're going to dive on the floor. And we've got great chemistry. We built a great culture. We had a great retreat this summer. And it's just a team that's a lot of fun to be around, and they enjoy being around each other. And one of our transfers probably said it best. She said that, because I asked her, I said, how does this compare to where you were before at a high level? She said, it's so much harder in practice. It's so much more competitive, and people get after it, and they're diving on the floor on top of each other. But once it's over and we leave the court, it's gone. It's behind. And I think that shows that we've been able to really instill that culture that we've been trying so hard to instill, that the culture's there, and now it's just a matter of putting everything together to take that next step. And, whether it happens this year or not, I don't know, but I just know I love coming to practice every day, and they'll tell you I've yelled a lot less this year than I have in my first 2 years, that's for sure. Well, I think we're much more athletic, and we're much longer than what we've been in the past. We obviously, a lot of this stuff, I've learned so much from Coach Campy and stolen a lot of his ideas and what he does. But, our first couple years we ran the dribble drive. But when you can't dribble and you can't drive, it's not real effective, okay? So we've tweaked the offense a little bit to fit more of our personnel. And now that we're longer And now that we've got a little bit more athleticism, we can play the way I want to play. And we want to play really fast. We want to shoot the three, but we want to be able to get to the basket. We want to put more ball pressure on defensively. We want to be in passing lanes. We want to have a shot blocker by the basket. And we're starting to get those things in place. Are they all in place yet? No, we're not there. I'd be lying to you to sit here and say we've got 15 scholarship people that can do all those things, but we sure as heck have a lot more than we've had the last couple years. And and the thing that's nice is the people that were here the last couple years have really laid the foundation for where we are today. They've kept it together to where we can be competitive and go beat Green Bay last year at Green Bay for their 6th regular season conference loss at home in 16 years. And so that group has put us in a position to attract the caliber of players we've got now because they know where we're headed with the program. So that part's exciting. So I'd say that length and athleticism is the biggest thing. It's Division I basketball. I mean, you know what you're signing up for. And the more pressure, the better it is, because the more pressure you have, that means the more resources you have. That means the more things you have in place to be able to win. And I look at pressure as a great thing because that means that you're getting what you need to be competitive and build the program to a high level. So, my philosophy of that is bring it on. The more pressure, the better. The more stuff they put in there, the more expectation, the higher the bar is raised. I got no problem with that at all, because that sure beats the alternative of saying, look what all these other schools have, look what they've got, we've got, and those become excuses. I think what we've done in 2 years, when you look back 5, 6, 7 years from now, I think you're going to look back on those first couple of years and realize how much we were really able to accomplish in that time. And I'm so proud of the players that believed in what we were doing, believed in what we were bringing here. And I've told them, I said, the first time we cut down a net, the people that graduated those first 2 years, they're going to be on that ladder cutting down that net with us, because they're a huge part of Oakland University. They could have easily bailed. They could have easily left and said, I want to leave, I want to go somewhere else, but they believed in me, they believed in what we were doing, and they're a huge reason why we are where we are today. So, that pride that I feel for this university is a pride that when they see those nets being cut down by our team, they can feel that they were a part of, and they were a huge part of that success to get the program to where it is, because they could have easily run the other way. But I think that shows a lot about their character of those that have graduated from here and why they're successful today, because they believed in this university as well, and they invested their time, and I think that's what's going to make them feel every bit a part of the team when it does cut down that net. So. Oakland's home, and that's the thing that helps in recruiting too. People ask, well, you took this over and you did this, and so after a couple of years you got some success. Where are you going to go next? Oakland University. I'm not going anywhere. This is home, and this is where I want to be, and I can think of no other school I'd rather be, and with no other players I'd rather have around us. And again, our administration's been phenomenal, and it's been a lot of fun to see. It's one thing to take a program and that's had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of success and take it over and have to maintain that. But it's fun to take something and have people say, you know what, you can't get it done. That fuels me a little bit. I don't like it when people tell me I can't get something done. That I'm going to sound like campy here for a minute, but it's going to sound like I'm sucking up on this one, but in the words, but I can't think of a better phrase than that. But, our athletic director, and I've told our team this, it's unheard of at the mid-major level for a director of athletics, number one, to put your game on a major TV station in HD. It's unheard of for an athletic director to travel on a retreat for 3 days with the women's basketball team, sit in the back of the bus and play games with them, high five, talk trash with them, the whole bit on a bus. It's unheard of at the mid-major level for an athletic director to travel to road games with a team and be a part of that team. And so to have those things happen shows that Oakland University is committed to women's basketball, and that's a big deal. And that doesn't happen at many schools. And the Horizon League is committed to women's basketball, and a large part of that is because of Green Bay. When you win the league 17 years in a row, and you've got your own facility for women's basketball, and you get 3,000 or 4,000 people there at every game, and you're ranked in the top 25 for the most part of the season, to have an athletic director, a president, and a league that's so invested into women's basketball, it just makes our job so much easier in recruiting, because it's an easy sell to go out and say, look, you can go somewhere else, and let's be honest, most media days, the men's coach speaks, everybody goes and eats, the women's coach sits up there in front of 2 people, and then you go on to practice. Our university is invested in women's basketball, and that means a lot. That really does. We went there. We beat them at their place last year, and we went 2-7 after that. And I got a call that night from another coach in the league that beat them the year before, and he said, "Be careful." He said, luckily for us, it happened early in the season. We were able to recover. He said, but once you put so much into beating them there, he said, it's going to be tough for the rest of the way out. So I'm just warning you. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, we were 2-7 after that. So I could tell him at the end of the year, I'm like, next time I'm going to listen to you. You're right. So to beat them is you've got to go in there and expect to win. And then once that happens, you can't turn around 2 days later and not play well. And you've got to continue that momentum. And I think the one thing with them, I think 2 years ago, they started out 0-2 in the league, and there's no panic. And they win, and I shared this with our team the other day. We talk a lot about culture with our team. And I heard Mark D'Antonio make a great point the other day. He said, we're not playing like an 8-0 football team right now, but our culture allows us to be 8-0 because we expect to win. Green Bay may not always play like the Horizon League champion, but their culture allows them to be the Horizon League champion. So we can have the greatest X's and O's in the world, and we can have the greatest scheme, greatest philosophy, and things like that. But if we don't go in knowing that wearing Oakland has the culture that allows you to win those games, then no one's going to dethrone Green Bay. They win because they have Green Bay right now. And so we've got to have the mentality and the culture in place to realize that we're going to win because we're Oakland. And so to develop that, we spent a lot of time talking about, and we talk about culture daily. And we test them. I give them a test at the end of every week about our culture, because that's the only way we're going to be able to dethrone Green Bay is to develop a culture that they have. Yeah, and that's the thing and we only got one more chance to beat them in the tournament there, because the following year we'll be moving to Detroit and going there. So, it'll be a lot of fun once we get the tournament down in Detroit. So we've got a lot of things planned for that too. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, obviously they're a really good team at home, and Kevin Borseth is not just one of the best coaches in our league. He's one of the best coaches in the country. I mean, he's a phenomenal coach who does a great job. He did a great job when he was at Michigan. And, there's a reason they won it 17 years in a row. But at some point, it needs to come to an end. And, I've told our players that if it's Oakland, then that's going to be a national story. Because if you knock off someone that's done something 17 years in a row, that's a national story. So when they get knocked off, we got to make sure we're the first ones.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.